adversity, they're going to be as stubble, and when the fire comes to try them, the stubble is just going to get burnt up, whereas the gold will be perfectly fine because it's already gone through the refinement process. Right. So we hope to be that gold, which goes back into what I was reading in Joel.
Yeah.
If I may just bring that out. It's like
Joel, you say?
Joel chapter 3. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can carry on with some of these verses.
Yeah, because it says, touching on the point I just made, it says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, yes, and have carried into your temples my let me read that again. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, meaning the northern and the southern kingdom, yes. Right, have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border. Right. Back to you.
Yeah. So you sold us and you exploited us, and you're still exploiting us. We're still in your hands today.
We are yet to stay in our captivity.
So when the Most High comes back, we're going to be found in your hands, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's the judgment for a man that stealeth a man? Put to death, right?
They have to be put to death. We might as well carry on, finish off the verse, Brother Kushar.
Can't, right, so
7.
Yep, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether you have sold them, and will turn your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for Yahweh have spoken it.
Yeah, we're seeing the signs now of Esau. The curse is becoming going on the Esau now.
Shalom, brother.
Shalom. So we're coming out of the curses, man. There was that news channel, I was watching it, and they had an officer. He took, I think he might have arrested someone or got a bag of some fentanyl.
And he fell down, right?
And I think he might have tasted it, but he had an overdose.
And he fell down, and the person had to save him, right?
Is it the same one?
I think
one
so.
of his colleagues.
Yeah, he had to save him. He was on the floor. He was
Yeah. So he had an overdose. He collapsed because when you get an overdose, that fentanyl stuff.
Yeah.
He must have got it. He must have went like that or something. His heart stopped beating. Yeah. And his officer, it was all on that live police cam. Gave him, had to give him the thing that they give him to
revive him.
Yeah, to revive him. And he came back. So the point is, the curses are falling upon them now. With a lot of the things that we had to suffer. The crack epidemic in the 80s, I remember that.
Yeah.
The 80s and the 90s, and some people have still got suffering the side effects from that in them days. So we're coming out of the curses now.
Yeah.
We'll say something.
Yeah, because that's very true. Because if you look at they called it the opioid crisis, right? It's a lot of Edomites that are getting fucked up by these drugs now. Yeah. Whereas they tried to pump it into our communities, the Israelite Jake communities, to try and destroy us. The thing that they used to try and destroy us, now they're getting strung out on it. Yeah. So it's beautiful, man. Like Salakia, I remember watching this video where this Edomite was talking about his daughter that died from, I can't remember what drug she was on, but she had an overdose, so she died. And he was all up there crying, saying, I never thought this would happen to me, because he was living good. Yeah. In fact, I think he was even a police officer, and he's saying, I used to see all these people who we arrest all the time, and I never used to really think that they were
it might be the same one. I saw one of that. I think I saw it.
He never used to really look at them. He used to think, oh, they're just low down and out jakes, they're just grimy and shit. But his own daughter ended up becoming a drug addict and dropping dead, and then he's sitting there crying about it. That was beautiful to see, man. Yeah. Because it was a little Edomite girl that died.
Yeah, let me read that to what you just said. Joel 3:8 says, and I will sell your souls and your sons and your daughters unto the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, for the people afar off. Yep. For Yahweh thy power have spoken it. That's, like I said, that's the curse falling upon them. Proclaim. So there's another point there I saw, because you got the fires over there, over there in California. And a woman was saying she's got so much land. She said she's worried, but she's mainly worried about her grandmother, because her grandmother's been there for so much years, and she's got a big, a ranch with animals. And she said she's trying to tell her grandmother to leave, but the grandmother's so
stubborn.
Yeah, and she's just, she's got all the sentimental value. She doesn't want to go. But when they got back to it on the news, that news channel, and they eventually got the interview of the grandmother, got her out of the house because the house, everything burnt down, right? Because they're saying that it's a, what they call it, emergency evacuation. But some people are stubborn because of, like you say, they might be old and, you know, and they're attached to their livelihood.
Yep.
So eventually they interviewed her. She said everything was burned up. She said I had a lot of shoes, they all gone. You know, because it's all carnal, innit, with them, which you can understand.
Yeah.
Because that's all she knows. She looked like she could have been a northern tribe, but she could have been an Edomite. And they got her. She said, but I got my life back. She said, but then she's going back to saying, I got everything. I had everything. She said the only thing I got now is the clothes I got on my back.
Okay. Well, she got humbled then, man.
Right. So we got to gear up our loins, man, because when the Most High, what's that scripture, man? When Ezekiel 4:9, the one you usually bring out, man, he said that we can't feel pity, man.
That's right.
When the judgment starts to fall upon them, man, he's gonna go through and he's gonna start smiting, man. He says, feel no pity. So
it's like I'm just looking for a precept here. There's a man, just roughly paraphrase it.
Yeah,
The
go on.
scripture says, the life is more than raiment. If that, roughly paraphrasing. Basically, this isn't nothing, man. The clothes you got, life is more than that. So if you're all caught up thinking, oh, I've got all my shoes and all these sentimental things in your house, then your mind's in the wrong place, man, because the life is more than, you know, the physical, tangible things that you have in this world. But the old woman, she didn't understand that.
No.
That's why the Most High had to bring that judgment for her to realize, look, man, it don't mean nothing, man.
yeah.
And furthermore, that's kind of symbolic because everything in America is going to get burnt up anyway.
Yes.
So it would be better if she learns this lesson now. If she's an Israelite, if she is, I don't know, right? But if she learns this lesson now, it's better for her than to learn it later on when the nukes drop. Back to you.
Right, so that's what we're doing, man, you know, because like I said, the title of this is this place is imploding from the inside and from the outside. But you've got the so-called current events, you've got the inner city gangbangers, and because people are desperate and they just be getting more and more bold with it, man. Everything you can see what they're doing on CCTV. So in 9,
It's lucky. Sorry to interrupt, but I've just found the precept that I was speaking of. Matthew 6:25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, for what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body or what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment?
Right,
Back to
yeah.
you.
For people when they start to lose everything. Because judgment is starting in the house of the Most High Yehovah Shai, man. You know? So I want to continue with, just to end off the verse in Joel chapter 9, it says, 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up.
Mm-hmm.
Beat your
Plowshares.
plowshares unto swords and your pruning shears unto spears. Well, I'm saying it wrong. Pruning hooks unto spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Can't.
Right, man. Yeah, we're coming into that time now. You know, we're exercising this. We're exercising the fact that we know that we're who we are. The Most High has given us. He says that assemble yourselves, come all ye heathen, come all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Whither calls thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh?
Yep.
Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
That's right.
So round about that time, we see the judgments, man. There's too much. Like you got the rains, you got the flood waters, we call it flash floods.
With the incoming shortages of food as well.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the famine of food. People are, like I say, people are getting desperate in the inner cities, which they're not covering it. Don't seem to be covering it that much on the mainstream news.
So lucky, if I may, the elder just said about the shortage of food. There's also a shortage, not just of food, but of other products. Because, like for example, let's talk about food. There might be a shortage of food, but there might also be a shortage of the material they use to package the food. You know what I'm saying? So it's all across the board. There's shortages, which end up affecting things such as this. Back to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to end it off here in 13. Says, but ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Let me jump down. 17, it says, so shall ye know that I am Yahweh thy power, your God dwelleth in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass through her any more. Allah Yahweh.
And just to add on to what the brothers was talking about the judgments coming down, as well as, as we see it, a lot of things are going on in the world. But what I was focusing on a little bit is this whole shortage of food thing, which is, the president, well, not the president, but the vice president, what's her name? Kamala Harris. She was saying that in the future, somewhere around there, in a soon, particular point in time, there's going to be a shortage, could possibly be a shortage of food. And I've sent you the article, brother. Now, it's just something that I want to get into.
I'm just putting it up.
Yeah, because the scriptures talk about a lot of these things that we talk about. That's why we talk about it, because it's in the scriptures. And it's just us prophesying something that we've been saying for time. Okay, or a lot of things that we've been saying from time. And these things are about to come to pass. Now, we do talk about the nuclear missiles. We do talk about the rioting of the people. But what we also do talk about, not as much, but in some cases, the famines. That's something that's going to come to pass and hit this world crazy like it's never been before. Because in times past, like we can read about the time of Abraham and as well as the time of Isaac in the book of Genesis, during their time period, there was a famine in the land. But the Lord was with Isaac, because when you read the story in the book of Genesis 26, he was all around the place, digging up the grounds and finding water wells. Okay? So the Lord always took care of his men that truly believed on him, that he elected to believe on him, to be exact. So we're going to be taken care of. And that's in the book of Job, the 5th chapter, because as I'm going to say again, there is going to come a time of a famine. Oh yeah, you better believe it. The time is going to come when a famine is going to take place. All right, but this time this is going to be a pre-planned. I was watching some videos on TikTok, right? Well, brothers shoot them videos out, put it on the group chat, and a lot of people were saying that work in the farm industries, they were saying that they've been told by pretty much the government to purposely cut down the crops. Basically, that's where you get your food from. So why would they be told to cut down the crops? For what? Because what they're going to start doing is they're going to start pre-planning a shortage of food. And like this brother was going into, not only is there going to be a shortage of food, but a shortage of the products that they need to bring in the food, basically. So that's where this world is going. And as we've been saying it for the time being, Salakia, brother, just give me 1 minute.
That's all right, yeah.
As we've always been talking about, the ending of this empire. And I've been watching, as well as I've been getting some information from Alex Jones. Because Alex Jones, he hits the nail on the head with his information. I mean, the Lord only knows where he gets his information from, but he hits the points. And what I heard, what he was saying about what he was going into, at the end of what he was speaking about, he mentioned on how that all of us, in other words, them, because this is their word, obviously, that they have to prepare for the ending of the empire, the American empire. Now, those are some big words.
Yeah.
Now, haven't we been talking about the ending of an empire? Oh, yes. That's our specialty. That's what we talk about. Because the prophets, as we are, we're what you call seers. And the seer is to see beyond what people can see or envision of something to take place in the future. And what we've always been seeing is the future. And what is the future? The end of this world and the incoming of the Messiah. So you can say what you got to say, brother.
So, Lucky, I just want to touch on a point you just said about the farmers cutting down their crops. I also heard that too, because some guys were saying that they could make a certain amount of money by selling the crops, but the government's giving them payoffs to cut the crops down earlier and not sold them. So I just, when you said that, it just triggered my memory. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's what's going on right now. Because, if you're a farmer and you're told that you're going to get a certain amount of rewards to cut the crops down, you're going to do as you're told, and you may be threatened to lose your job. So you're going to do what you're told if you're working for the farming industries, man. So it's all that, like I said, man, all of these major corporations that people work for, whether it's the farming industries, they're all in bed together, man, and they're all a part of these secretive councils. and they've been given a heads up to end the American system. And the best way to do that is to take away people's food, man.
Yep.
Because again, there's a slogan that they go by, and it's called order ab chaos. So in order for them to set up, which simply means order out of chaos. So in order for them to establish a new world system, they have to pretty much end this old world system. And how do you do that? By causing chaos.
Yeah.
So what's the main thing that can cause chaos? The greatest thing that you can do to cause chaos is cause a famine. There you go. Okay? And they're going to do this, man, because this is in the plan of the Heavenly Father. As it is written that the Lord is in control of all men, including the kings of the earth.
Yeah.
I'm roughly paraphrasing, but anyway, go on, brother.
That's a good point, because this is an intentional collapse. That's why if you
Yes.
look at all the things that have taken place over the past few years with the lockdown, so on and so forth, if you can connect the dots, you can see this is all leading to them crashing the system and bringing in, what is it, is it Claude Schwab?
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
Great Reset.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They want to create the Great Reset. So they're creating the perfect storm sort of situation where everything's going to fall apart. And I actually saw that thing with Kamala Harris, and that's deep, because it's lucky if I just talk a bit. Because she was talking about how we need to prepare because of, she was saying there might be shortages come Christmas. For example, things like parents, if they want to buy their children toys, she's saying it might be good to buy them now because around later on in the year there might be a shortage. Now what that and that's another thing, because America doesn't really produce goods. A lot of what they get is imported from other countries.
Yeah.
And what's happening is all these countries are making money off of America, but America's not exporting very much. So that puts the Americans in a very vulnerable situation, because once those shipping containers are no longer bringing in the supplies, famine's going to ensue.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yep, and that's where it's all going, baby boy. So if you can, brother, give me the book of Job 5.
Job 5.
Yeah, verse 19.
Right, this is Job 5 and verse 19. The Bible just followed me the page.
See, that's the
Right.
spirit.
Job
Spirit is
5 and
working.
19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles.
Yeah.
Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee.
Yep.
In famine in famine he shall redeem thee from the death, and in war from the power of the sword.
Yeah, keep going.
Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of the destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh,
Yep.
neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth.
Because those are the two things that's coming on the earth. Famine and destruction. So before this world comes to an end, what are we going to see? We're going to see as what the scriptures prophesy about. You know what I found out when I read 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter? What I found out is that a lot of people are going to die during these famines, when these famines come around, man. You understand what I'm saying? So as the scripture says in the Apocrypha, as I'm referring to once again in the book of Ezra, the 8th chapter, doesn't that say that there be many more than that will perish and be saved? Many will perish because of the great famines that's going to come around. Now there's going to be different things that's going to take place, as well as we have it right now. This pseudo ongoing pestilence, which really I wouldn't use the term pseudo, because it is actually a pestilence, which people are being told to get. As I call it, the vector, and as well as I call it the spiker too. Other brothers call it many different things they call it. But that's what's causing the pestilence to erupt, man. Is these things that they're being told to get. All right, and eventually, like I was going to 2 weeks ago, these people that have taken the vector, they're gonna all drop dead real soon.
That's right.
So, in wintertime coming, like this brother was speaking about last week, because of their immune systems has been weakened, they're not gonna be able to deal with the cold weather.
Yep.
Go on, brother.
And that's beautiful, because the scriptures say 1,000 shall fall at your left hand and 10,000 at your right, but it shall not come nigh thee.
Come on.
So we're going to see a lot of things, and also you got to remember how psychologically seeing dead bodies is going to affect people, because most people, they watch these films, they may see someone die in a film, but most people, unless it's a family member or a friend, they haven't really been around dead bodies that much. And when you imagine this field, just like there's a dead body over there, you're going to see people all shaken up by it. So it's going to affect people psychologically, man.
And then you have to smell those dead bodies. That's a whole nother dilemma in itself.
Yeah.
So there you go, man. I mean, like this world is going to come crashing down, and when it crashes down, it's going to crash big time, because this world came about and it was established by us, the slaves, as we were in hardcore slavery, and we're still slaves now. But just because we built this society as they beg to believe, they believe if we can keep the so-called blacks into slavery, then we can maintain our power structure in our society. But eventually, the Lord is going to do away with this place, man. And that's what we see going on right now. Their thing is as well, if we destroy this old world order system by causing chaos, then we can revive the fourth time coming. There's no revival of Rome again. The ancient Roman Empire that was and is no longer, and it's come back again in loose little season, and that's it. This Roman system that we're under right now is only but loose in its little season. Once it reaches to the end of its little season, this place is going down to its end. Point blank in the story, man. If you can, brother. Since I spoke about that, give me the book of Job 14. Yep, I believe it's verse 5.
Yeah, quick precept.
Go on.
Salakia, just a quick one. It says, it is an abomination for kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness.
Yeah. Ultimately, when the Most High puts you on the throne as the king of above and all the people, you're supposed to govern the people according to the statutes and the commandments, which are righteousness, which invoke life in itself. And I always like to talk about how the laws, statutes, and commandments are the manuscript of the earth. So if you become a king, being that the Most High puts you in that position, as it is written in the book of Psalms somewhere, it says, promotion cometh not from the north to the east to the west to the south, roughly paraphrasing, but from the Lord. So if you've been given that ability to rule over the people, you're supposed to govern the people with the commandments, not in any other doctrine. And that's why this world and all of the previous worlds have gone to nothing, because all of these worlds were governed by pseudo-science, basically, which the word science means knowledge. All right? So the same is going to happen with this system. This society is going to crumble down at its end. This empire is going to die out, and there's going to be another civilization, an ongoing society. Let me not use the word civilization, because the word civil means Rome. But the empire which is going to come next is going to be our world.
That's right.
And this empire is not going to die. It's going to be ongoing. All right? Go on, brother.
You call for Job 5?
Yeah, Job 14. Go to Job 14 real quick. Come on. And then you can go back to Job 5.
Right, Job 14 says, from the top?
Yeah, you can start from the top.
Right, man that is born of woman is of a few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow.
Is that 5?
Job 14.
Okay, Job 14.
And verse
that's
5.
verse 1, right?
Yes, you're Job 14 verse 5.
Yeah, I wanted 5 originally.
Right. Salakia. Job 14 verse 5. Seeing that his days are determined and the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
And you did say that you want me to start from the top, so I said yeah. But you know how the flesh is. The flesh changes.
It's
man.
fine. It's calm.
You know, I'm going, brother.
Right, and it says, turn from him that he may rest till he shall accomplish.
Yes, so go back to verse 5.
Can't, right. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee.
Yeah, so that's just the bottom line, man. Like the Most High gave Esau a portion of time to rule. So Esau can't overstep that, even to a millisecond, or a millisecond behind a millisecond. Like Esau ain't gonna overcome the timeline the Lord gave him to rule. Like the timeline, which is what was given to the Babylonians during that time period, which was around, I believe, during the time of the Babylonians. They came on the scene around the 6th century BC to the 7th century BC. They ended from leadership from that time. No, from the 7th century BC all the way down to the 6th century BC. And but within that time period, because what you had the Assyrians. You had the Assyrian Empire, and then the Assyrian Empire. After that, you had the Babylonian Empire. But the Babylonian Empire only lasted for like 67 years. But the Most High took 3 years off of that. They were really supposed to be ruling for 7 years. So the Most High can give you a particular point in time to rule over a nation, or a nation to rule over another nation for a particular point in time. He can increase the time, or he can deduct the time. All right, and no man on earth is in charge of how long he can rule for. So Esau and these different individuals that's a part of these secret councils, thinking that they can overcome this old world system and get away from the philosophies of the Most High altogether, and doing everything which is of the Most High altogether, they can then rule forever and ever and set up their own kingdom. But they already got their kingdom. This is their kingdom. The New World Order system is no kingdom. It's just a figment of one's imagination of all of them. All right? Go on, brother. Read what you got. Yep.
Back in...
verse 5 again. Read that again.
Yeah. Job 14 verse 5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee,
Yep.
and thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
That's the point. And thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. His bounds that he cannot pass. See, there's no revival of Esau. Okay, there's no third or fourth revival of Edom. This is it. This world is going to come to an end, and the powers that be, they're going to have to go into slavery under us, right along with their nation as a whole. That's what's next coming in the future. If you want to talk about the future, that's the future. The future is that all of these Edomites, which call themselves so-called white people, from the least of them to the greatest of them, they're all going down, and they're going to be our slaves under the real Jews of the Heavenly Father. The Israel of the Most High, pursuant to the book of Romans, the 9th chapter. Okay, if you can, brother. One more. Yep. Get one more precept. Give me Isaiah 14, my favorite scripture, and start with verse 1.
Come on. Isaiah 14 from verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Yeah, in other words, that's talking about other Israelites. Because you have Israelites thinking that that's talking about the other nations that they're going to cleave unto us. Now, to a certain degree, they're going to have to, because they're going to wonder of our ways, and they're going to want to, be a part of what we're doing. And that's in the book of Isaiah chapter 2. But this is talking about other Israelites that's going to convert to the truth of other men that have the truth. Go on, brother.
And it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh.
Right, and it says in the house of the Lord. Excuse me, let's read that again.
Right, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them.
And the house of Israel shall possess them. So what does it mean by the whole house of something or a nation? It means the entire nation. So the whole nation is going to enslave all of these other nations. If you can turn that sign around, brother. All of these nations are going to be our slaves, our servants. This is the future. This is what we got to look forward to. Many people have their beliefs of what they think is what, but what people don't have is insight into the future. We have that. Like the Apostle Gabar did a sit down on high levels of thinking, and most of what the older apostle was getting into is thinking about the future, and this is what's going to become of us. We're going to rule all over all of these nations, man. So we're going to rule over all of these nations. That means we're going to be rich beyond measure. Okay? And they're literally going to pretty much build up our kingdom. They're going to build up our society.
Yeah.
All right? Including the ones of these Edomites that have enslaved our ancestors. They're going to be our slaves. That's what's next and coming down the line. Now, that might sound a bit heavy to a lot of people, because a lot of people have been pretty much softened in the mind due to this media and all of this nonsense. But the truth of the matter is that we're going to have servants. Every empire of men had servants. You had kings and you had different levels of men. That was always the case in different empires. So our empire is not going to be any different. Even right now, at this very moment in time, we're slaves to the people who we work for. If you're a brother that works for a construction company, you're a slave under that construction company. If you work in Sainsbury's, you're a slave under Sainsbury's, man. Okay? So slavery is going on right now. So the only thing about it is that in the next world, we're going to be the ones calling the shots and dominating what people do. And this is going to go on forever and ever, because we were always the ones to set the rule anyway, because of the commandments that was given unto us. When Moses went to Mount Sinai, he didn't just come to get the commandments, he came to get the other books, so that we can read about our forefathers and our ancestors and how the ones of them that kept to the Lord, on how prosperous they became in the very end, and other things, but more in particular the importance of the laws. Okay, so we got all of these things so that we can be what? We can be governors and rulers over the people. If you can, brother, give me the book of Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Con.
And you can also give me the one in verse 4 too. Not verse 4, chapter 4.
Con. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6 says, it says, "For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all the people that are upon the face of the earth."
Right, all the people that are upon the face of the earth, or above all of them. Go on.
It says, "The Most High did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people."
Right. For we were the fewest of all people, but the point stands that, which is what I want to focus on, is that the Lord chose us to be above every nation. All right? And the way that we would rule over these nations is by the law, as it says in the book of Isaiah chapter 2, that out of the word shall go forth out of Zion. In other words, the commandments and the laws. And that's how the nations are going to be governed by. And the way that this society is right now, because this society is all based on oppression, on the highest degree possible, where you got only a very few people that have all of the resources, which is what makes a man wealthy, gold and silver, and you got people walking around with fake currency, which is not even real. Like you got ones of us right now that probably have notes, a 20-pound note, 5-pound note, but it don't weigh 5 pounds. It don't weigh 20 pounds. So if it doesn't weigh anything, which is what it doesn't, then it's fake. It's not real money. So they have all of the real, they've basically manipulated the people centuries ago to give away their gold and their silver so that they can be given so-called pseudo dollars and pounds. And that's how they've pretty much got over the people, and even their own people. So it don't work like that, man. Like you can't rule a society where you have an abundance of gold and silver and you're just rich. And all you're doing is you're just converting all of that wealth to yourself, abundance of it to yourself. The reason why you have all of that wealth is so that you can help your people. And they can also help themselves. You understand what I'm saying? That's the society that we're gonna set up. We're gonna set up a system where every one of our people are gonna have to be able to take care of themselves. It's not gonna be, well, the rest of the nation is gonna be relying on us. It ain't gonna be like that. As the scripture says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. So this society was doomed to fail anyway. That's why they got to keep reviving this system. They got to come with this, they got to come with that, and they always got to update. That's why they come up with the Great Reset. Because this society and the way that it's set up, the structure of it, it never worked. A true society works where people can take care of themselves and produce. Okay? Not where you just have one man that has trillions and trillions of pounds on it, and the rest of everybody is just dirt poor. Like that don't even make no damn sense. Go on, brother.
So like if I may just add to that, when you was talking about the currency, like a £5 note doesn't weigh £5, it made me think of that game that you play as a child, you know, called Monopoly, where you've got that fake money. That shows you that Esau's the devil, because he's got people playing with Monopoly money out
That's
here.
what it is. It's Monopoly.
And that's the whole thing. The game was about having a monopoly. You want to own everything.
Yeah.
And what was on the cover of that game? You got this like Edomite looking dude with a top hat. That shows that these people are that the wicked are involved, man. You know what I mean? You don't see a Jake on the Monopoly thing where they're like for the little